and welcome to the Filippos podcast. My guest today is OKTO CEO Filippos Antonopoulos. Filippos, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Louis. How are you?
Hi. It's actually a welcome back to the podcast because you were one of the first ones to jump onto the Filippos nearly 2 years ago. It was about 18 months ago. So welcome back. We've just participated in, and I saw you kind of briefly down one of the corridors at our first fully fledged iShow after kind of a 2-year absence. I know there was the kind of smaller one in April last year, but I was wondering, what are your thoughts and what were the kind of standout experiences from this London show, which seems to have broken records?
It seems like it did, yes. ICE has changed over the years, and it was going to change progressively anyway, but obviously after the pandemic, also the DNA of the show, it seems quite different. It's now a software-dominated and casino machine participated show, obviously reversely to what it was up to even 3-4 years ago, maybe 5, where it was, majorly a casino vending, machine manufacturer, operators, and all that stuff, the land-based side, and then software made a smaller part of it. Yeah. I think now it was 55% software, 45% land-based. Software, I mean online, and I say software to say that maybe there is a vendor who sells omni-channel, but they provide software as opposed to hardware-driven sales. So
is that the customer diversifying, Filippos? Is that the customer where it was previously they weren't in that side of the business as well? So the customer base is actually diversified. They weren't just land-based, and now they've got land-based and omni-channel. They've actually increased, or do you think it's mostly online moving across, or more new customers coming into the market?
New geographies are coming into the market, no doubt, right? Okay. So, you see a lot of Brazilians on the show. And a lot of, both attendees and exhibitors from Latin America. That wasn't the case, not at this extent in any way. So that's one. And it's become more international, less European only and more international, no doubt. But you know what, Louis? I think it also is driven by growth, right? So a purely land-based vendor or operator, what kind of growth will they be on average experiencing? Marginal at best, I would guess.
Okay.
On average, right? So geographic, across jurisdictions, across verticals, land base is growing at inflation rates, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're a vendor in this space. Really, what's your expansionary budget and marketing budget? It won't be as aggressive as if you were a online or omni-channel, vendor that is experiencing, obviously double-digit growth rates. Maybe certain jurisdictions and geographies, you're actually experiencing 50, 60, 70% growth. Okay. So therefore, it's only natural that these kind of exhibitors will dominate the show. And then obviously from an operator standpoint, let's say you're a global brand, but really your European business is growing at 7, 8, 10, 15%, but your Latin American is growing at 40, 45%. So all of a sudden, you bring into ICE, a team of 15, 20 people more than what you had before, coming from those geographies, or looking at those geographies. That's my theory, I think, Louis. And then last, but obviously not least for us, payments has grown from 4 or 5 big exhibitors, 5 years ago, to a small village. What is it now? Like it's 25, 30 exhibitors in payments, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have obviously the question that kind of was raised was how has that dialogue that you've been having within that village changed since we were last speaking, as I say, 2 years ago, and at that point you were championing the convergence of physical and digital payments, and you were kind of championing it at that bit, and I'm kind of interested in terms of where we are on that journey now, having been the kind of a flag bearer for the fintech and for that kind of cashless journey. Where are we now? What sticking points have there been, Filippos, and what breakthroughs have you made too?
Okay, so let's start from the positives. All
Mm,
right. We first attended with the idea of OKTO at G2E in Vegas in 2019. Okay, so there were one and a half companies doing digitalization of land-based gaming experiences and cashless. And then 2022, cashless was uh, perhaps perhaps the biggest trending, buzzword, if you'd like, or trend, and it would be across all participants, casino systems, vendors, more dedicated to cash, more companies dedicated to cashless, etc. So it's not like we're saying something that people hear for the first time.
no.
So, that said, now that it's becoming more mainstream, it starts to have realities from early adopters. How do you become a massively adopted solution? So, sticking points.
Mm,
Um, Look, in of itself, migrating a land-based operation onto cashless is a multifaceted project, right? So it has operational complexity. Then going cashless also brings into the mix a payment regulator, or the involvement and participation of payment regulation in the in the equation that needs to be solved for,
okay.
and obviously that adds complexity. Um, I know that a lot of let's say casino operators or sports betting operators, especially on the land-based side, will make a claim that gaming regulation is one of the sticking points. Do you know what? It's our experience that it's been less so. It's been less often than not
Okay.
the case. So to put it on a positive spin,
Mm,
we speak directly to more than what is it, like 7 or 8 gaming regulators across Europe, and a couple in Latin America. Uh, Quite frankly, there's been 1 or 2 bad experiences, and then 6 or 7 good ones.
okay.
Uh, and when I say good, I mean that we do have green light to progress, perhaps not with the full extent and scale of what our technology and capabilities allow us to do,
All right.
but absolutely yes for a minimum viable product and something to begin with. And quite in fact, there's been a couple of gaming operators that have welcomed us, um, have introduced us into the dialogue that they have with the industry and within the regulator body itself. We've had at least 4 give us, documentation that allow us to move on. That
Okay.
obviously didn't exist before we went and asked them for it.
Sure.
So, do you know what, Louis? I don't consider the gaming regulator as a valid excuse when I look at cashless horizontally, right?
Mm,
Evidently, if you deep dive across each jurisdiction or into each jurisdiction, you'll find your negatives. But overall, I'll call it a positive.
okay. So I mean, looking at that from I guess still from a hurdles and barriers perspective, digital payment adoption in Europe, it seems like the operators want cashless. The conversations are very positive on that side. Customers are getting more educated about cashless at the same time, whether they use their mobile wallets, apps on the phones, etc. And the technology itself appears to be, robust and getting affordable. Um, are there some barriers that we're not seeing at the moment in terms of that adoption, or is it just that this takes a long time to actually instigate?
Okay, so look, the very first thing that we need to remember is that we're trying to change player habits, right? We're asking uh, players to change the way they participate in their daily or weekly entertainment. So that in of itself is a curve. It has its own challenges, its own frictions, and its own customizations across each culture. And then each participating player in different countries will have his or hers different, let's say, things that they would like to change when it comes to participation, but also things that they would like to keep intact, right?
Okay.
So to me, that's the focus, right? That's the focus. There are other hurdles that I believe are artificial, and I will give an example. And perhaps it's a little bit of a touchy point, but again, it's honest to make it.
Sure.
OKTO is not payment technology. OKTO is a payment licensed. It's a payment. OKTO operates payments. Is the best way to put it, right? We obviously have a payment technology stack, and evidently we have a lot to do with gaming technologies, but we operate payments. When that is misunderstood for OKTO being just part of the technology, and therefore certain contributors to the current ecosystem believe they can copy or believe they can do what we do, that's the beginning of some good misunderstandings, of some a good amount of friction right there, which is artificial. It's artificial. OKTO doesn't change the way that the gaming ecosystem works right now. Doesn't change the participants, the gaming side of the technology, not the systems, not the manufacturers, etc., etc. But at the same time, it's very important to stress that none of the current participants can do what OKTO does, exactly because they are not licensed. They don't know how to operate payments. It's a different beast. It's a different regulator altogether. So there's a very real friction, which is player adoption, and there's an artificial one where I think it's important that each participant does what they are experts in doing.
Okay, well, I suppose the other piece of that puzzle is how the legislators and the regulator are viewing digital payments at the moment, and I mean, in terms of that kind of unified approach, are they positive or negative in terms of actually accepting cashless? And do they see it as a force for good in terms of safer money laundering adoption, safer gambling in terms of responsible gambling? Or I mean, where do the legislators sit on this? Do you see that there's friction there, or in actual fact, are they embracing it and it's from the operator customer perspective at the moment?
I don't consider regulation to be a friction, and I don't believe regulators add any more to the friction. It's a process. They have a process. They add to the process, but I actually believe that they are parts of. They are part of innovation. They are part of the. They are one of the catalysts of innovation. It sounds funny to say. I know people consider the regulator to be conservative sometimes, perhaps too defensive, etc. But I will say this. Regulators, they are faced with effectively two different trends. One is protecting a player, and the other one is protecting society from money laundering and not knowing your customer, etc.
Yeah.
The more you know your customer, and the more you protect against money laundering, means that the more you adopt technology, which also means that you make gaming participation easier and faster, which means that you need to add player protection layers, right? But that's what technology is for. Louis, I'll say this. Experience or the dialogues we've had with regulators in the UK, in continental Europe, and also Latin America, they've been very receptive to understand what we do. So understanding something is 99% of the way in actually progressing anything, right? So I've seen regulators willing to understand. Why? Because they have real problems, and as soon as they understand that they are discussing the problem, the core of the problem, and OKTO is somebody that is a very diligent participant in a solution to this problem, then they are very keen to continue the dialogue. And this dialogue, I think, very quickly leads to a point where the regulator realizes that OKTO understands gaming protocols, the way to speak to the gaming systems, etc.
Yeah.
So OKTO respects the safety and security of the gaming participation. Then OKTO understands gaming, the necessary protections to the players. We are sensitive, we are conscious of responsible gaming, and we've added these protections to the technology stack that we publish. And then three, it's a very it's a very positive surprise to any regulator when anybody goes to them and say, you know what, I'm already regulated. I'm in fact regulated by somebody who regulates all of the economy, not just gaming.
Yeah.
We go to the gaming regulators and we tell them, do you know who our regulator is? It's a central bank. They regulate everything in the land. So they've given us a license to proceed. They audit us. They govern our manuals towards AML and KYC. And so therefore, the regulator understands that here they are bringing into the mix not only OKTO but actually the banking regulator as well. So they're bringing help. They're bringing in someone that can help.
Well, one of the big deals that you kind of struck just coming into this year was with Superbet in Romania, and that was the start of January. In terms of that agreement, but a little bit also building out from that is that we've seen multiple deals established in Romania with operators, going back to 2021. Why is Romania so advanced in terms of digital transactions, pretty much compared to the rest of Europe? What's the actual kind of ingredients that have come together there, Filippos, that means that it's so progressive right now?
Okay, great. So this is a very good question, and I hope that to whomever is viewing this discussion and is has been in the gaming space, I think that they will find the answer, which comes from experience, not that we know all the answers, but the empirical answer. I think that it will be interesting. Why? Example number one. Romania is dominated by a VLT type market, not an AWP market. And so the vast majority of machines there are SAS protocol enabled or any kind of AFT protocol enabled that allows digital payments to go to the vast majority of the machine population. So if you were to talk about, I don't know, between 60 and 80,000 machines, that is the Romanian market, the vast majority of those can be converted to digital payment enabled machines. It's absolutely not the same in Central European or Western European markets, where you have a very large participation of bar, distributed gaming, routing market, etc., that are more legacy machines and perhaps would even require hardware upgrade, not just software, in order to be converted to digital payments enabled machines. So that's one. The other is that the Romanian gaming regulator is an engaged regulator. They have a very good, let's say, interactive profile of being able to discuss and converse in open forums with the different participants in the ecosystem. That's another. The third thing I believe that is an important point is that almost all of the Romanian operators that I can think of that are, let's say, meaningful in size, they are successful omni-channel operators.
Right.
And remember that what OKTO does, we bring omni-channel, real-time, secure and seamless payments, right? And we digitalize cash not only by removing it. We don't remove cash. We actually also introduce cash inside the digitalization. So we digitalize by allowing land-based participation from e-money, but we also are able to raise cash towards digital gaming, online gaming. And so these multiple verticals that Romanian operators have, I think that's also been very conducive to let's say the deployment of OKTO's services in the market. Okay, look, um, you need to I guess put your money where your mouth is, and that's what OKTO has been doing in Romania. We strategically invest in the market, and we are very focused and committed to it. And when I say that, we also customize a lot our solutions for the market. I think that these are most the biggest contributing factors to it.
Okay, and you said earlier about customer education. Is that, you talked about legislator, you talked about the operations and the machine types. Have all those come together in terms of omnichannel to actually educate the customer from the Romanian side, so that this adoption is more straightforward than anywhere else?
I think the answer to this comes, let's say, from turning a problem into a solution.
Okay.
So because we've had the problem of customer education and then the adoption of digital payments, one of the first things that OKTO started doing is reverting a strategy to white label, offering white label services, and then also embedding the payment services inside existing gaming outlets, right? So gaming applications. And by doing so, two things are achieved. Number one, you associate the payment experience with the betting or gaming brand that you already know and trust. And that makes you, obviously, as a consumer, much more, let's say, open to new experiences. And the second thing, and I believe that the second thing is really the big, let's say, the big bet out there, not only for OKTO, but globally for payments, is if you hide the payment experience, actually, and the consumer doesn't realize that they're inside a payment experience, but they're actually inside the original experience. It could be gaming when it comes to gaming, but a lot of us, almost all of us, will already know the answer to this when we use Uber, for example. Uber is is in many ways a very large payments company. In another similar way, Starbucks, or the Starbucks card. I think Starbucks has a global cash balance of $4 or $5 billion sitting on the Starbucks card. It's in many ways as big as PayPal, or in the same size.
Yeah.
In terms of digital cash assets that it's holding on behalf of its consumers. But nobody knows. Everybody thinks of Starbucks as a experience of buying coffee. If we can get to that, if we can embed the payment experience inside the pre-existing gaming experience, I think that's key. It's something we've started trying to do with the Hippodrome Casino, and I think that the Hippodrome guys, the management team there, has been really, really fantastic and forward thinking in seeing that if we solve for this, what I was just saying, embedding the payment experience, then really there will be massive adoption from the clientele.
So really, you're not hitting a wall every time you try to interact with the casino or the casino game. You're actually just seamlessly moving within it. That's basically what the customer journey would be. And each time that you set up, Filippos, in a new marketplace, you're talking about multiple partners. Each one linking operators online. You've got retail point of sale, alternate payment methods. I'm thinking of the Nuvei relationship, and I'm just wondering, does this get easier? Is this speeding up the process? Is it in terms of or is this just the method that you have to follow every time that you enter a new marketplace, or look to kind of further adoption? There are certain things, and it will take a long time. Or do you think it's actually speeding up as regulation gets changed, as more operators from one country who work in another country look to adopt things across borders?
Look, if there is easy out there, we haven't found it. Okay, so it's not been part of our experience thus far.
Okay.
Look, there are obviously some fundamental synergies, right? So we work with, you mentioned Superbet Group in Romania. Evidently, these guys are doing a great job in growing across geographies, right? So they have a leadership team this leadership team has adopted this new trend as something that they need to invest in and engage in, not only with OKTO, I say in general, right, as one of their strategic steps. So, when you jump across geographies, you wouldn't need to wait for that maturation process to happen.
Okay.
That said, the moment you step outside and into a new geography, you need to re-enable your payment stack, your regulatory stack, from a gaming and payments regulation standpoint. So you need to go through a process. So yes, synergies exist. Yes, things do get more straightforward as it goes, but at the same time, each market is its own beast.
Okay, well, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was that obviously you're as a brand, as a company, you're actually moving into Brazil and Latin American markets. That's one of the kind of the most recent developments. And as a lot of European companies are looking to do a similar thing, take their processes online or into the Latin market, even the retail spaces as well. Do you have any advice for anybody else out there that's actually moving in that direction? And what's been your experience of that as well, Filippos?
I don't know. I don't think that anybody needs, let's say, my or our advice per se, because the advice to be given is pretty token, right? So, you know what? I could even summarize the answer in saying that the expression for localization in Brazil is tropicalization. That's the word that Brazilians use when they refer to a global service being customized for the Brazilian market. It's a tropicalization process. Look, the OKTO's expansion in Latin America and Brazil is strategic. Okay, we are very involved in this. We are investing heavily. We're building out a team that is both locally based, but also the Athens-based team, is exclusively focused to. Part of the Athens team is exclusively focused to that market. I remember many years ago, one of the previous companies I was involved in was going into Africa, and we did good business in sub-Saharan Africa. And in a similar question, I think it's very important to answer that continents do not exist except for geographers, right? Business isn't done in continents. Business is done in countries. So OKTO is expanding in Chile, is expanding in Peru, is not expanding in Paraguay right now, or in Uruguay, or in Venezuela. It is expanding in Colombia. It is present and expanding in Brazil, etc. Right? So I think this is a better way to say what OKTO does. OKTO is strategically expanding and investing in a few countries that those 5 that it does are in South and Latin America.
Okay. And one of the things that from the ice that I kind of picked up was that you come into this year with a bit of a repositioning strategy as well. I just wondered what does that encompass, and what can you tell us about that as well, Filippos, before we sign off?
So the team here has done a great job with that. It's partially understanding what we've grown into as this process of building and growing a company has takes you through various checkpoints. So first of all, it's important. I said before something about operating payments, right? So OKTO realized that it's not enough to say that it has a pay tech infrastructure. It's very important to say that it operates payments. That's number one. The second thing is that OKTO does so with a very strong focus in gaming. Gaming from a payment standpoint is a high risk market. We embrace that. Okay, cash participation in payment licenses is also something that is a difficult product, we also embrace that as well.
Okay.
And last but not least, we wanted to make sure that we're not defined by one product, and most importantly, that we are not considered as a wallet. We're not a mobile app wallet in the way that, for example, PayPal is. We would love to be at that size, but it's important to say that OKTO is driven by a payment platform and an operational ability to operate this payment platform across online, retail, offering consumer-facing technologies that are not just a wallet, but also there are merchant and cashier app, etc.,
Okay.
but are also processing payment solutions, e-vouchers, etc. So it only made sense that after entering the fourth year of operation, we are bigger than what we originally planned to be at this stage in time. We're 110 people. We're growing.
Okay.
We're in 10 countries. We're going to be in 15 soon. And obviously, our product portfolio has expanded, and so therefore it was important to reposition following all of these R&D efforts, etc.
Okay, well, the final kind of sign-off question was going to be very similar to that, which was, what are your ambitions for 2023? Now we've got ice in our rear view, and we've all taken kind of stock and used it as a bit of a bellwether for the year. What do you see are your kind of goals strategically or not for 2023, Filippos?
Quantitatively speaking, it's important that we activate our services in 5 more jurisdictions before the end of the year.
Okay.
We grow the team to approximately 50% more, team members. We also hit certain KPIs in terms of adoption rates when it comes to cashless. These are quantitative undertakings, right? So if you ask anybody at OKTO from the first to the 110th person, they should be able to answer these same things that I just did. When it comes to expansionary stuff, we've started looking into the US and Australia.
Okay.
Both markets are, they have cashless, dead center in the dialogue, and so. We humbly believe that we do belong on the table, and therefore we would like to participate as these markets build this new era of player participation. And then last but not least, what I would like from 2023 is for OKTO to really grow on its roots on the supply side of things, payments, licenses, banking partners, so on the payment infrastructure, I would like us to be able to grow both our team as well as our partnerships and the investment that we do from that standpoint.
Okay. Well, good luck with all those. That seems like a big remit. I'm very interested in finding out more about the kind of the Hippodrome as a case study, because it was mooted to me back in September when I met team members over in Austria, and we were talking about that. So I'm looking forward to that coming out as a kind of full case study with a UK casino, and also hoping that we don't have another 2-year gap between the next podcast.
Well, on the latter, I fully agree, Louis. When it comes to the Hippodrome Casino, look, you know that they are really driven people, right?
Yeah.
So there's an energy that comes with that management team, and I guess it shows also in their results. I'm pretty sure that by now they must be the biggest single location in the UK. Now, one of the things that I really like about the Hippodrome collaboration, I'm not going to speak about product, and I'm not going to speak so much about the technologies and all that. Part of it we did discuss briefly just now, but what I really like about them is that for every single piece of challenge they've got from their regulators, on the KYC side, the AML responsibilities, they will flip it into an opportunity to introduce new player experiences, and they fully understand that technology is exists and is there and is available to to make that happen, so long as they find a partner that knows how to operate this technology. We are thankful to the fact that they believe we are that partner. It's a journey, it's a process. It's absolutely not done yet. And even if we did speak in 2 years from now, Lewis, there would be still things to fix, correct, improve, grow, etc. But what I'm really looking forward when it comes to 2023 and when it comes to this specific discussion with this specific gaming partner of ours, I would really like this to be, a very good case study, right? A very good case study.
Yeah, it's something we're very interested in and following. And we're at the start of the journey when you started out. Where we I don't think we're at a midpoint even as yet, but we're certainly fascinated in following you along that line. And no, we look forward to the next progress, to being invited to kind of follow along with the next product launches, the next new markets you open, the next customer interactions you have as well. Filippos, good luck to you and the team this year, and we'll be seeing you in the next show shortly.
Lewis, thanks very much. Good luck to you too.
Thank you very much. Bye.